So if you've been an active follower or a close friend of mine in the past couple of years, you would know that I'm a pretty big Trails fan. And by pretty big, I mean it's kind of taken over my life and it would honestly be my drug of choice. With the weight of Trails into Reverie in the West, I wanted to have an excuse to gush about the series and possibly make some more Trails content for the community. As a result, this video is just going to be me talking about my favourite moments from each game in chronological order, so these moments aren't ranked in any particular order, and this should also help when it comes to navigating spoilers for those who haven't played all the games thus far. This video was also inspired by the Kiseki video on the same topic, so I highly recommend that you watch his video as well, but I just wanted to share my own personal list. As a result, because these are my personal favourite moments, there isn't really a criteria to work from, but if a scene has a critical hit to my heart, or is able to make the hairs on my arm stand, they're more likely to be chosen. Finally, since these games are so large, there may be some honourable mentions per game due to just trying and failing to nominate only one moment. Without further ado, let's start where it all started. For Trails in the Sky, it's a clear winner. It has to be the twist ending with the reveal of Weissman. As someone who accidentally stumbled across this series, I had no idea what I was signing up for. As a result, when it came to the ending of first chapter, I genuinely thought this was going to be the end of the game and my nice relaxing JRPG was going to come to a close. But nope. All of a sudden, Albert turns up and boom, dude is secretly evil. And we then get some insight into Joshua's past, which explains the very beginning of the game so effortlessly. Again, as someone who is a big fan of mystery games, whenever I play them, I always have the general rule of that no one can be trusted. But because this is a JRPG, I didn't use that same rule and it completely fucked me over. So when the reveal happened in first chapter, I was kicking myself because everything Joshua says about quote-unquote Alba always being present when shit hits the fan just weighs major flags in retrospect. It's this moment in the series where my expectations had been subverted and the serotonin had been flooded into my brain, which made me buy a second chapter and third straight after. Next we then have Trails in the Sky's second chapter, and my choice has to be the reveal of the Liber arc. Something I don't think people who started further along in the series and then worked their way back can appreciate is that Liber for the most part feels more rural, in that yes, there is technology, but it's still more akin to the medieval period. So to see the Liber arc appear out of thin air appears more paranormal than anything. Everything in this scene was perfect. The hacking of the RCL by Weissman to warn the others, the drums leading up to the bolt of lightning which opens the fabric of another dimension to reveal the floating city with a supporting choir truly made it feel otherworldly. But that's not all, because we then see the sheer panic of Professor Russell witnessing the Liber arc as he then begs Julia to land the ship, which is later to be justified as we then witness the orbital shutdown phenomenon, but instead at a country scale. And as the scene comes to an end, we just see the Glorious in the distance flying ever so closer to the Liber arc, unaffected. It was absolutely bone-chilling and just shows how much more there is to the land of Zemuria. To round off the trilogy, we then have Trails in the Sky the third, which is honestly extremely difficult for me just to narrow down to one choice, just because there's so much fan service in this game that is so rewarding for all the people who have spent so many hours in the previous games. But for me, it has to be everyone saying their goodbyes. I've spent hundreds of hours with these characters, I grew so attached, so when it came for them to leave, I'm not gonna lie, I was bawling. Even now, just hearing the track that plays during that scene makes me just tear up. It's not even because it's sad, it's just, I'm so happy to have followed the journey of everyone and to think it ends the adventure of Liberal in a way it makes me homesick for a fictional country I've never even visited. It probably doesn't help either that around the time I was finishing third, I was actually a few days before I had to leave my own family because I had to leave for uni, so in a way it was the ending of my own chapter in my personal life. Not to mention the heartwarming message Estelle and Joshua give to Ren, which honestly was a breath of fresh air by JRPG standards, with the grounded fact that Estelle and Joshua very much could fall out of love, or even worse, one or both could die while on a mission, but bring attention to the appreciation for the next time they see one another. And I can't forget the beautiful ending track that encapsulates the entire journey as the credits roll. We now head to Cross Battle in Trails from Zero, and for me it has to be defending the IBC. This moment solidifies both how the SSS have come together as a group, but the barrier they have to overcome is even when the odds are against them, they still prevail. Just having to fight wave after wave, all the while you have a banging track as our allies watch and cheer us on the sidelines demonstrates how united the people of Cross Battle are. Not to mention, even while playing the game and getting into these battles, you can feel the intensity of the situation and how desperate the SSS are trying to defend the Siege GF. And then there's Trails of Azure, and I'm not going to lie, this was probably the hardest game for me to select my favourite moment, as objectively, this is Falcom's magnum opus, so choosing only one moment was a real challenge. But after much thought, I had to give it to the knowledge of the original timeline. Just like with first chapter, I never expected multiple timelines to be possible within the game due to the genre. So to find out that the introduction to Zero was the original timeline in which the SSS failed to defeat Jokam only for Kia to change causality was mind-blowing. The funny thing is, I remember obtaining the Zero Time Dilemma achievement before finding out about this twist, and thought it was a neat reference to the Zero Escape series, but to find out that in a way this was foreshadowing what was to come is amazing. But establishing that there are now multiple timelines within the Trail series makes me extremely curious as to the future compilations down the line. Now we head to Erebonia for Trails of Cold Steel 1, and I will be combining two different moments just because they happen almost back to back, but it has to be the assassination of the Osborn as well as the reveal of Vita. Now I was already aware that Osborn was going to be attacked due to Azure, but the build-up of everything was done quite craftily. I think just because of the panic of Guerrilla Fortress being obliterated caused myself and possibly others to lose sight of Crow being C. So to see him with a sniper prepared caused some anxiety just because even though Osborn is painted to be a villain, it would have catastrophic consequences to Erebonia. But it's not over, because the Patrol then makes its debut with the assistance of Misty, showing her true identity of being Vita, the second Anguish of Ouroboros. And again, even though I knew the second Anguish would take an active role in the Phantasmal Blaze plan in Erebonia, for whatever reason I never suspected Misty, even though the signs are so obvious in retrospect. For Trails of Cold Steel 2, once again there are so many moments, but I have to choose the ending of Class 7. As just like with Third, seeing all the characters acknowledge that it's the end of their journey just hits me right in the heart. I mean, just having everyone come together to defeat Loa Lucifera is satisfying in itself, but I think seeing everyone put on the brave face by acknowledging that it's the end of Class 7, only for Milliam to crack and display how human she has become, which then begins the waterworks for everyone. Just like Third, it's not a sad cry, it's just bittersweet to see these characters come so far and need to let go and move on with their own personal lives. We now jump a year later in Trails of Cold Steel 3, and this is where everything you have learnt in the previous 6 games begin to cross over. But my favourite moment has to be the cliffhanger of Trails of Cold Steel 3. First of all, you've attempted to kill the Black Holy Beast, which then led to the sacrifice and death of Milliam, because she had to look out for her younger sister, so already my heart is being attacked. Then due to the sacrifice, Reen loses complete control and overkills the Black Holy Beast and starts heading towards Osborn. I think Unit encapsulates how I felt in that you do feel for Reen for witnessing the death of one of his classmates, but at the same time, killing Osborn isn't going to reverse what has already happened. But then all of a sudden, Crow, Rutger and Orion Rod leap from the above floors, and it's possibly one of my favourite cinematic shots, where they all then call the Divine Knot to stop Reen. But before we know it, Osborn has called upon his own knight, only to corner Reen and boom, the end of the game. Easily the biggest cliffhanger in the series thus far. Finally, we arrive at Trails of Cold Steel 4, and again, this is a really hard decision to make, but it has to be the final battle with Ishmelga. Just having the Liberal Gang, Crossbell Gang, and Erebonia Gang together truly made it feel like Endgame. And of course, I had to have all the planets on the main team to defeat Ishmelga, but the build-up was phenomenal with having all of our allies providing us with their support and orders, and to defeat an enemy with over 1 billion HP just felt like the perfect way to complete the game. And just like that, I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. I would love to know your personal favourite moments as well, so please share them in the comments below. If you enjoyed Trails content, I would very much appreciate a subscribe, because I am planning on making some more Trails content for the future. But with nothing else to add, I've been Callum.